Morning, everybody. It is 8:10 a.m. It is April 6th. Hope everybody had a good Easter. Welcome to my channel. Now, this market was nuts on Friday. That was really something. The gap down, have oil up huge, and the market got bought. Now, not only was the market getting bought, it went up, but then there was like positive news coming from Iran saying that they were going to open up the Strait of Hormuz, and that farther ripped the markets up, and then we just traded in a range. Now, the area that we traded up into, we are still in. I like to call that ultimate balance. It's around 66.40 to 66.10 in the ES. It's the most traded price of the last month in the week. So that is the price the market is telling us it's the fairest place to do business right now. Everybody's agreeing upon that price, which just means that that's based on volume, right? So we're queuing up for a huge move. Okay? Huge move. So we'll have to see. Now, futures were up more earlier. They've pulled back a little bit since. So there's supposedly some plan for a ceasefire, possibly. And the U.S. is going through intermediaries right now with Iran. I don't think Iran has responded yet. So the deadline is coming. Who knows? I really don't know. Okay? I don't have a clue. I think this is just a crazy time and you get conflicting stories. So we're never going to go into details about that because I don't know. You just got to follow price basically. Okay? That's all you really can do. All right. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and volume profile to find structure in the markets, almost supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge. Now, once the market opens up, I use my market internals, throw in some ICT smart money concept, anchor view ops, the expected move for the week that I give away for free, as well as my gamma exposure levels in my Discord. Okay. Now, hopefully, you join me. Do this every day. Give you the market story, the market news, the economic calendar, technical analysis, and I leave you guys at the end of my stream with the long and short trade scenarios in the ES and the NASDAQ futures. Okay. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. Let me be your indicator. Okay. Now, we're going to get right into futures. Now, the VIX is up 5.19%. Okay, we're at a 25 VIX. Ethereum is up 4.18. Bitcoin's up 3.79, hanging around the 70,000. 10-year yield's back up 1%. That's not good for mortgage rates. Silver's up over 0.5%. Gold up 0.42. Nasdaq's up 0.34. So Nasdaq right now is relatively stronger than the ES. ES is flat. Dollar is basically flat. Russell is down 0.11. Dow is down 0.15. 30-year bonds are being sold, which makes yields go higher. Crude is actually down over 0.5%. So, like I said, crude was shot up when the market opened. It has since retreated. Still at $110, but $110 per barrel. Moving on to the Mag 7 Plus here. Of course, Coinbase, the Bitcoin proxy, is up almost 3%. Netflix up 1.77. Meta up 0.96. Tesla's up 0.92. AMD up 0.69. Who's lagging today? JP Morgan. JP Morgan. Interesting. Why is that? Is there any reason? Let's see. The skunk at the party could hit stocks in 2026, warns. Alright, let's move on. GEV Vernova, one of my favorites, up 0.76. Palantir up 0.37. Oracle up 0.22. Who's lagging today? McDonald's down 0.20. Chevron down 0.32. And Exxon down 0.55. Moving on to sectors. Semiconductors are up 0.62. Technology is up 0.5%. That is why the Nasdaq is relatively stronger than the ES. Lagging is real estate down 0.10 and energy down over 0.5%. I really don't like where we're at in the markets. Like I said, we're in ultimate balance. In what news that if they accept this deal or not, the deadline, I don't think the market knows what to do, and that's why you're at ultimate balance. Okay? Now, let's get right over to the economic calendar. We'll just look at what's going on for this week. Okay? So, today we have ISM Services PMI. Tuesday, ADP Employment Change Weekly. Let's hear API crude, some Fed speak. Wednesday, crude inventories, FOMC minutes at 2 p.m. Thursday, core PCE. Core PCE, initial jobless claims. And then Friday, CPI, Michigan Consumer Sentiment. So Friday is going to be the big data day. Okay. Let's move on. Let's see what Trump has on his plans for today. So today, let's see, 10 a.m. the President and the First Lady participate in the White House Easter egg roll. 1 p.m. President holds a press conference. Ooh, okay. So I hope I'm done for the day. I should be at 1 p.m. But that's going to be important. 2:30 policy meeting. 3:30 President participates in a Passover greeting with Jewish community leaders. Okay. Let's go to now. There wasn't really anything here that I didn't mention already about that plan. Let's see. Yeah. See, it says Iran, U.S. receives proposals to end conflict. So who knows what's going to go on with that. Let's see if there's any other news here. Let's just see here. U.S. market futures increased while crude oil fell as investors focus on reports of a drive to secure potential truce in the Iran war. It says U.S. allies are urging Iran to reach a last-minute compromise, citing people familiar with the negotiations. According to the unnamed sources, the odds of striking an agreement within the next 40 hours are minimal. All right. Spokeswoman for Iran's foreign ministry stated that no rational person would agree to the ceasefire plan over the weekend. Trump threatened to destroy Iran's power plants. Okay, so again, who really knows? Let's go to some other news. Let's see here. We already know about this. JP Morgan. Diamond warns Iran war may drive inflation and interest rates higher. I don't know. JP Morgan's 9.5%. Paramount's in talks for Gulf backing in Warner takeover. Maybe that's why Netflix is getting an extra bump this morning. U.S. regulators ends probe into Tesla's actually smart summon feature after software fixes. OpenAI CFO raises concerns over Sam Altman's 2026 IPO plans. Let's see what else is going on here. Netflix. A Rome court has ruled as unlawful price increases imposed by Netflix on its Italian subscribers. That's not having any effect on that. Tesla. No. Okay. I think we're done there. What I want to focus on is some breadth charts here. Let's check in with the breadth and credit spreads. Let's see. Zoom in, see what those credit spreads are. Oh, they dropped a little bit. They're rising. They dropped a little bit. Well, that's only April 1st, though. Oh, April 2nd. Yeah, they dropped a little bit, actually. So I'm keeping an eye on that. Let's go to breadth. Okay, let's go to breadth. Let's first check in with the 20-day. Wow. Is that for real? Am I seeing that right? Wow, that's that big push. That's interesting. So the 20-day percentage of stocks over the 20 days of moving average is 51% are over the 20 day. Now remember, obviously 20 days is a shorter amount of days. Let's look at the 50 though, because that's pretty impressive. All right, 30%. We were down at 20. Okay, that's why remember I kept saying that this overall market breadth is a little oversold. So we'll see. Okay, now we're going to get into the bullish percent indexes. Okay, again, this is very important just to look at this stuff because I want to see how many percent of stocks are on buy signals. 39% in the S&P 500. So 39, or let's call it 40% are on buy signals. The breadth is improving, right? So let's look at the technology. That's at 36. Okay, let's drill in one more here to the info. That's the technology sector. 40% on buy signals. So far, technology, interesting. Okay. Remember, they've had a crash in some software sub industry of that sector. Okay. And we're going to go with financials. Those financials had a big touch for the private credit issues. They are up to 39%. All right. So we're improving a little bit in all of our readings here. We are improving. Okay. So now what we're going to concentrate on is the market internals from Friday. Now it was a beast. It was a beast. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. Oil up and decoupled from oil for a sec there. So very crazy price what happened. Now right off the bat we have a weak. See we pushed off, got a little weak right here. Okay. And then money flows just came into technology. Look, Infotech was up 3.12% that day off the open. That is huge. This is monster readings in internals. And then this is where that Strader Hormuz opening up news came out. And then the market just ranged. But these are big readings. Your market's not going to go down with those type of readings. Okay? So even though the Valdez, I think they started off bad. I don't remember what they were in the beginning. But that news just took us to ultimate balance and we kind of just traded sideways. But this top four sectors, when they're that much up, the market's not going to go down much. It's just not. Okay? So that's your market internals recap. Let's go to daily charts. Alrighty. Now, remember I said we bounced off that 2025 anchor VWAP. Okay. And then we opened here with a gap down and went all the way up and still went higher than the previous day, which is kind of crazy. Okay. We didn't quite hit the 28-day simple moving average yet. Okay. But we see this pocket of trading volume here, this range. That's where we're in now. Let's just see where we're at now. 656.36. 656.36 is right here. We're right by the close. But see how this range, we're right in the middle of it? That's what's going to cause us. We're right back into the thick of this trading range. Okay. So let's look at futures. So all that trading volume, we're in the middle of it. Not the best. Okay, now you can see what we did, right? That we tapped the oh no, I'm sorry. That's last week's highs. I'm sorry. Because this is futures. So that's what we just did. We hit the 20-day moving average, last week's highs, and people took some profits. Okay? Now we are setting up a little bit like an inverse head and shoulders. If I dropped it, you'll see it on an hourly chart. It's kind of setting up that way. Actually, on a daily chart, let me zoom out. right here. There's your head, your left shoulder, your right shoulder, and the neckline. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay. Now let's go to QQQ. We'll see the QQQ. So last week we bounced off the prior week's lows, went all the way up here. The Nasdaq did not. Yes, it did. It closed higher as well. Okay, closed higher as well. And also in this trading range. Where are we at now? 587.13. We are above Thursday's highs. Thursday's highs. Okay, let's look at futures. So futures just in the middle of all this garbage. Okay, hit the 20-day moving average. Also hit last week's highs. People looks like they took a little profits. I could honestly see this day just not being great for trading. We're in the middle of just garbage. The market doesn't know what to do. Crude is down. Market's up. Deadline's approaching. I just don't think this market knows what it wants. Okay? All right. Moving on to the hourly charts. Let's take a look at those. Let me get my marker out. We're starting to form a balance area. Okay. Now, I'm going to zoom out and show you why we're in where we are. Okay. Okay, so I don't have to go back that far, but we'll do this. So we're in ultimate balance. Now, this level of 66.10, 66.10 is the most traded price of the month and the week. 66.40 is a high volume node, also with a lot of trading volume. Ooh, let me get off that. Let me do this and this. Okay, right here, right? That's the most traded price of the month and the week. This is the most traded price of like also, okay, high volume node. That's where we are. Now look at all that trading volume. You see that? Price is right in the middle of that. That's why I'm saying doesn't look like a great trading day. It's Monday. It's just this, the market goes back to places of high volume when it doesn't know what it wants to do. Okay? So that's why we're there. That does not surprise me. Okay, at all. Now, if we're going to look here, the last 4 hours is kind of like equal trading, right? The daily obviously is a little more bullish. You opened here, dropped down here, but now you're here. Okay. And we're in ultimate balance basically. So it's garbage. It's garbage right now. It really is. It looks like garbage. Okay. Now don't get me wrong. There's always stuff to look at and do, right? So we're just going to look at what we did on Thursday. Okay. So we were gapping down, right? And then we pushed down into this bullish fair value gap that happened to be supportive, ripped up all the way up to here. And then the market sold off a little bit and then it ranged, right? And then look what we did. Opened up on Sunday night down. Trump did not have a great tweet or True Social post on Sunday. But then whoop, went right back up. Maybe because of the peace thing that's on the table. I don't know. And then since we've pulled back, so just in the middle of nowhere. Okay? Just in the middle of nowhere. Market doesn't know what it wants to do. This is not bullish nor bearish. This is just exactly what it is. The market doesn't know what it wants. Okay? Just doesn't know what it wants. So, who knows from here? Okay? If the market can pull back to 66.10, possibly see if it can break the 66.53s, last week's highs. Who knows? If it drops below here, right? Last week's lows is very far down there. So 63.53. I don't think we're going near that yet. Okay. So I think good possibility today that this could be the range. 66.53, maybe down to 66, 65, 60, maybe to 65, 60s. Let's just say that. That could be our range today. That very well could be the range today, unless some news comes out. Okay. Let's move on to the NASDAQ. Same thing in the NASDAQ. Now, the most traded price of the week right now is 24154, right there. Happens to be the most traded price of Friday. Now, this should move down. The most traded price of the month is 24883. I have a 24-hour chart that looks like it's probably more or less an ultimate balance as well. Because look, you can see the trading again. There's the circle, and then look at the like. Let's split that in half, right? And look where the market is. So same thing. Okay, same thing. We're just in supply in this major traffic area. Okay, that's what I'm saying. I don't expect much from the market today unless there's some type of news catalyst. Okay, we tried to break last week's highs, couldn't do it. Okay, so I think our area of trade today could be from 24349's last week's highs, right, all the way down about 240's. That might be our playground today. And in the middle of that, the most traded price of the week, 24154's, will just be in like the middle of the seesaw. Unless something comes out. There's really not much to it. Okay? Alrighty. Let's just put a volume profile on here just to see, get a visual. We'll start right from here. Let's just see where that volume's accumulating. There it is, right on that most traded price of the week. That's why it's there. That's the most volume traded right there. Okay, so like I said, that could be just the area of trade. Not a surprise. All right, I think we're done there. Let's move on. We're going to go to the volume profile, market profile. Okay. So this is your market profile, volume profile. Alrighty. So you can just see, right, in these sessions that there's just a lot of volume trading in this area, right? We're not even talking about the past. I just showed you in the hourly chart. Okay, you could just tell. Look at the profile. It's right there. Okay. This is giving us no heads up. Hey, I'm gonna do this. This tells you right now the market does not know what it wants. Okay. Now let's get into the ES long and short trade scenarios. Okay. Remember I said ultimate balance is 66.10 to 66.40. It's a highly trafficked area. Okay? It's really where the market is right now. All right. So what could happen? Now there is a key resistance level at the 66.53s. Okay. That happens to be last week's highs. Okay. Last week's highs. And what I think today that could be the range today down to the overnight lows 65, 67. Okay. Let's get into scenarios. Okay. So we're going to start off with the long. So market's at 66.31 right now. Now we know 66.10 is ultimate balance. Okay, I know I said this up to 66.40 because that's a high volume area as well. But right now 66.10 is the area that also has a demand zone. All right, we're in the middle of the middle. So that's why I'm saying I'm not in love with scenarios like this, but it's viable. So the first long scenario, I would like a pullback into 66.10. If it holds, okay, I don't think this is an easy trade. If it holds, because we're in a high volume area, you're going to go long, targeting 66.53. Now there's still supply up here. That could be it. And then we drop back. I don't know. Okay. You can go to the edge of this supply up here. 66.84 would be probably some extra gravy there. Not sure we do that. Okay. Now, if we're going to stay in the balanced area, that possibly could be today, which would be around 66.53 to 65.60s. If we do that, right, and let's say internals are like at parity, they're not really showing their hand, I could see a pullback, okay, into this demand zone, okay, at around 65.90s. All right. As long as you hold this demand or the bullish FEG all the way down to 65.60s and you make a higher low, this could be when we're in balance, and then you're going to want to go right back to the mean of the 66.10s. Okay. That's it for the longs. Shorts. Okay. Like I said, in this area from 66.40 to 66.10s, it's going to be hard to trade in this area. It's just because we're going to do an inside out trade today. It's going to happen. We're going to test an edge. I just don't know which. Okay. So, how I want to play this one is let's push up to 66.53s. Let's take out last week's highs, but then you don't close, right? Outside of it, you close back inside this range, back into last week's range, lower high. If the market is not that strong, you're going to short that. Target 66.10, the most traded price of the week. And then try to attack that overnight low, 65.67. Okay? I don't know if you can possibly go lower than that. It all depends how the market is responding off the open. Now, conservatively, what you can also look at is you want to see the market push under 66.10 and find acceptance below that level. Maybe retest 66.10, that's a short, and see if you could target 65.67s, then the 65.60s. Okay? That's all I have for the ES. Moving on to the NASDAQ. Okay, the NASDAQ is still gapping up very slightly. Very slightly. Okay, very slightly. And that gap fill is 24267s. So let's put that level on there. Okay. Let's break out the session. I think I forgot to do that before. Maybe I didn't. Okay. So, the most traded price of the week is your 24146s. Okay, right here. Okay, so we have similar setup, even though the NASDAQ did break last week's highs. Okay, but I'd still say the 24351s is an area of that you have to keep your mind on, and all the way down to the 239s. So I think, well, let's just start the scenarios here. So let's get into the Nasdaq long and short trade scenarios. Okay, so like I said, the levels that we possibly could range today in is the two. Let's just call it the 244s. The 244s to the upside. That's roughly your overnight highs. Down to the overnight lows to 23981s, and possibly down to the 239s. I think that's probably the area we trade in today if the indecisiveness is still here. Okay. Now, if we're going to talk about a long today, for NASDAQ, where we're at right now, we're at the most traded price of the overnights, that's 243s. If we pull back, okay, into this demand zone and it holds, all right, around the 242s, okay, down to the 24140s, so it could hold this demand, get some lower high, you're going to try to tackle that 244s. Okay. If you drop down a little more and you hold those 24160s or 24146s, I'm sorry, also that could be a long targeting the overnight highs. All right. Now, if the market drops past the most traded price of the week, okay, you have another demand zone here starting around 24093s. That also could be a buy. And then if we start to range and the market's just not that weak, you go all the way down to the 239s and hold that. Also could be a long back to the most traded price of the week around the 24146s. Okay, those are the longs. Now for shorts, pretty easy here. Okay, so if the market pushes up, takes out the overnight highs at around the 24398s, 244s, there's supply, and the supply there. If you close back inside the overnight range with a lower high, you're going to short that and target the most traded price of the week. Okay, your 24146. Now, if this can't hold, you are going to test the overnight lows, 23981s, and possibly the 239s. That would be a very nice short. Now, if you're a little conservative, you're going to wait for the 24146s, the most traded price of Friday and of the week, to find acceptance below that. Maybe retest it, short that, target 239. Okay, that is your long and short trade scenarios in the NASDAQ in the ES futures. Okay, now, if you enjoyed that analysis, please smash that like button. That would mean a lot to me. All right. Now, hopefully you join me every morning. Subscribe, set that alert. Do this every morning. Give you the market story, the economic calendar, the leaders and the laggards, technical analysis, and I just gave you the long and short trade scenarios in the NASDAQ and the ES futures. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. I should be going live today around 9:50 a.m. Okay, remember we have news at 10 a.m. today. 10 a.m. Okay. So today, like I said, my overall feel is I'm neutral. Okay, I don't think the market knows what it wants. We're in ultimate balance. So I think it could be, you might have to be very patient today to get something, or it could be something where it's just like not even worth it. But we have to see, right? So hopefully I see you guys in my Discord. If I don't, I'll see everybody tomorrow morning. All right, everybody stay green if you can. Remember, no trade is a trade. All right, everybody.